Is there even a point to watching this without Drolta? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and welcome to my blind reaction to Season 2, Episode 1 of Castlevania Nocturne. And yeah, looks like Drolta is done and everything after the end of last season, with Alucard coming in and all during the decisive final battle. Really sucks because it's like, I was hot for her. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. Like, Drolta is really fucking hot. Um, but she's also just a really fascinating, interesting villain. She feels like I, I'm trying to figure out a way to put it. She feels like she's more unique than the other villains of this whole series so far. I think in like the original series, I want to say that the villains a lot of times felt like they blended with the world a little too well, to where it's like they didn't stand out as much. They felt like, oh yeah, this is what I expect from villains of this world. Carmilla was probably the one who stood out the most. She had a lot more flair and intrigue to her than any of the others did. Maybe Godbrand as well, but I think I just liked him because Peter Stormare. um, but most of the other villains, even all the like vampire ladies who are with Carmilla and all, it's like, as much as I like them, and I did like them, they were very fitting to the world. They didn't stand out. They weren't anything special. And that's fine because it does fit with the world. It does fit with the lore and everything, and the other characters, the heroic characters and everything. But it's like if I'm counting like a list of villains and everything, they wouldn't be near the top. And then you have Nocturne, and we get kind of three, but more two main villains. I mean, kind of four if you technically want to count the priest as well, Maria's father. Um, but Olrox is kind of like neutral. He kind of just does his own thing. Like, yeah, he's kind of introduced as a villain with, like, taking out Richter's mom and everything. But I don't know. I see him more neutral, more as someone who just does what he wants to do and isn't really on anyone's side. But you have the main villain of this series, Elizabeth Battery, who I have no idea why I remember her name. I feel like I shouldn't. But then you have Drolta Zuentes. And Drolta is by far the most interesting villain here. Like, I like Olrox. Well, I actually don't know much of anything about Elizabeth at this point. She's barely been in it. I feel like she's going to become a bigger deal in this season, probably. Um, but Drolta stood out so much. And not just because of her sex appeal and everything, her personality, her 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 way of speaking, like her enunciation of certain words and all, as well as just like, to put it as the kids put it nowadays, like her aura. Like, she had exceptional aura. She commanded attention every time she was on the screen. And again, I'm not even talking about the sexiness here. I'm just talking about just the way she carried herself. She stood out more than any other villain in this entire series to me. The sexiness helped, I won't lie. But just, again, the way she carried herself. Also, her transformation is fucking amazing. Her transformation is so fucking cool. The glowing pink hair and everything, it's like, that's just so cool. And I think that's pretty new too. I don't think like previous villains have really done that kind of thing, have really transformed. I mean, unless you count death in the first series, and it's like that was, kind of a special case. Um, but this is a lot different than even that, though, because that was like just a dude turning into a giant skeleton god. This is a hot vampire lady turning into an even hotter vampire lady and having bioluminescence for some reason. But yeah, Alucard came in at the very end of the season, like during the big climactic battle. He like returned right at the end. It was this big reveal, this big return. He looks a bit different, but I think that's just due to like an upgrade in like the animation and style and everything. Because it is a little different from the original Castlevania. Um, I don't remember if he spoke, so I don't remember if it's the same VA. I assume it probably should be, considering this is a sequel series, even if it takes place well into the future. I'm hoping he's the same kind of character, though. I'm hoping he's still just as sassy and a little bit of a dick and whatnot. I'm interested to see how he interacts with the other characters in this, though. There's a lot of interesting setups that were placed throughout the first season, too. Like the one guy becoming a night creature, but also keeping his sense of self and humanity and being able to help them. And that was really interesting. You also had just the entire fact that, like, one of the guys working for the priest was having a secret gay relationship with Olrox, and it's like, that's a thing that's happening, all right. um, and just a lot of crazy shit going down. A lot of crazy shit. And I don't remember everything. It's been a bit. And I know some of you have probably been waiting for me to get to this, maybe sooner. I just didn't really get the opportunity to. But we're getting to it now. So, I don't know if a third season is greenlit already, but I'm excited to see where this goes. I don't know how many seasons they're going to have with this compared to the original Castlevania, because I think that was like 5 seasons, if I'm remembering right. Um, I feel like this could get more, but I don't know how the story's going to go, so we're going to find out. We're going to see what happens here, and I guess just hope for the best. Maybe we'll get some more new villains in this one, because they did that with the original, because they brought in, all of Carmilla's group and everything, so I'm hoping we get some more new villains. That could be interesting. Some more who are working for Vampire Jesus, Elizabeth Battery, and all. Um, let's see how it goes. Let's get into this. Hold up just a second there. Before you click that link down in the description below to go to today's reaction, I just wanted to take this moment real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about all the awesome gaming content over on the Princess of Gaming channel. Every single day of the week, we have some awesome Let's Plays for you. A bunch of different things to check out, and more coming in the future. And don't forget to click that subscribe button or like the video if you really enjoy the content I'm putting out. There will be more to come in the future. In the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in, and let's get this going. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I don't remember if Season 1 ever really talked about what Elizabeth and Jalta's relationship was, other than, just Elizabeth being Vampire Jesus and Jalta being her servant. We saw them, like, talk and stuff, but I don't think it ever actually really went into, like, anything further. But there is, like, so... I mean, just everything about how she reacted to Jalta's death and all, and how excited she was about the prospect of Jalta being brought back with the Forge. Like they're 100% fucking, right? It feels super fucking obvious. And I mean, I don't blame either of them. Um Especially like uh Elizabeth, like I would want to. Elizabeth's not as much my thing. I'm not as into her, but she has an attractiveness to her. Like she's not unattractive, but I'm not as into her as I am Jalta. Um, Not by any means. I am very into Jalta. So yeah, her design coming back is it's different, but it's similar to her vampire design from before. Just at least now without the glowing hair, though that probably will return because that's just such an iconic image. Um, she doesn't have like kind of a if this is just how she's gonna be now because she's a night creature now. She's probably not going to have a just normal walking around form per se because it's kind of hard to hide that kind of thing now. Before she had like a more humanoid look and could pass as a regular person, but now not so much. She's not as like crazy looking, I guess you could say, as Edouard is, but she's still very much like just a demon now in terms of design and technically just generally. But she does have her sense of self, just like Edouard did. Um, so that's really interesting because this is a new thing for sure. Like night creatures are not supposed to keep their sense of self. Also, you notice how the abbot was like really fucked up over this entire situation. He did not want to do this in the first place, but also just felt like really like he was really upset by the fact that this worked. Clearly, he was not okay. I mean, we already know he's self-aware of the fact that he's the bad guy, or at least one of the bad guys. But I think that like this has fucked him up more than I think he even realized it would. That's really interesting. So one thing I'm unclear about. They know who Alucard is. Did he introduce himself at the end of last season when he first appeared, or did they just like recognize who he was because of like stories and everything? I don't remember. It's been a while. So it's like I'm not going to be able to remember everything, but they knew who he was. There was no introductory sequence here. They were just like kind of like, okay, we're on the same side. Let's go. already already forming new plans, already getting things ready. But yeah, I'm very curious. Also, um, we see the aftermath of Tara being turned into a vampire here. We see that she fully has her sense of self, though that doesn't usually go when you become a vampire. That's not really anything surprising. She sacrificed herself and is playing along for now, but we know she has no loyalty to Erzabet. She pretty much said so and doesn't plan on going back to her. So right as of right now, she's going to be hiding in the woods and just feeding off of drunks, I guess. Occasionally talking to Aurochs, watching over her daughter. Because the party split up at the end, and that part surprised me because Richter's a fucking dumbass. It's like, Richter, I know you're young. I know, like, there's a lot, like, going on, but you can't be that dumb. She very much wants you there. She wants you to actually understand what she's going through. She's angry, she's upset, she's, like, really fucking depressed about what happened with her mother. And she has a right to be. But you're not even trying to see it from her point of view. And the fact that you're like just going off saying she doesn't want me here, it's like, dude, you are so dumb. She wants you there, I think, more than anyone right now. You're the closest person she has outside of her mother. You running off is exactly what she doesn't want or need at this moment. But that's going to come into play at some point. So he's going off with Annette and Alucard. And oh god, what is his name? Hold on, I think I still have the cast thing up here. Um Mizrak. Mizrak is staying there because Richter was like at first like gonna say tell Maria this, but no, he's like no. I'll tell her when I get back and everything. So we know we have Tara, we have Maria, we have, I guess technically Olrox, Edward, we have Mizrak. Those are the ones who are staying. Alucard, Rick. What about? Wait a minute. There's someone we didn't see in this. What about Richter's grandfather? It was grandfather, right? Yeah. What about him? Is he staying there? I don't remember like where we left off with him in the last season. So if he's staying there, that's definitely a really big, strong force to remain. But the party splitting up is interesting because they're going to Paris, and that's where Erzabet wants to go. Maria is going towards the National Guard right now, who may or may not actually be the National Guard. There's a lot of setups with this, and the opening scene with Alucard at the tomb in Egypt was pretty fun. But that was a big setup for, everything going on with Erzabet and how to stop her and everything. With the blood and everything. Also, we got to see some hot Egyptian vampire ladies, especially the big buff ones. It's like, mommy like. Listen, I have types. Big buff ladies are one of my types. I'm just almost always into that. You show a big buff hot lady on screen, it's like, yes, please. Now, mind you, they weren't as hot as Dralta, but Dralta's special in that regard. Like, Dralta's probably one of the hottest characters I've seen in anything. That's actually saying quite a lot, too. So it's like, yeah. She's special. But these Egyptian vampire ladies were very hot too. But yeah, so he was looking for I guess the body of Sekhmet, which is already gone and everything. Which I guess kind of makes sense considering. This is going to be interesting. We're bringing like lore of vampires and whatnot from and gods and everything from these other places. And yeah, we had a bit of that in the first season, but you had like hints of that in the original series that I really wish they had gone further into. We had like all those vampires from all over the world who visited Dracula's castle. Like there was the Japanese one, for example. And it's like that was always something that I wish they went more into in the original series. That like vampires from these other places. And now this series takes place in France, and we're getting Egyptian mythology and Egyptian uh, lore related to the story and everything. And I think that's just really interesting. We're expanding things out. And if there is another series after this one, like a third Castlevania series, I do hope that they expand things further. I don't know too many of the other Belmonts, so I don't know who would be probably next, but it would be really interesting to see to maybe go to like an Asian country or something, or Africa, or hell, fucking America, maybe. That would be interesting too. South America, all kinds of places. I would really love to see them like expand upon this a lot more. To really give us a lot more diversity with the just lore and history of different vampires around the world. I think they could tell a lot of great stories. And mind you, I don't know how a lot of this goes in the games and everything. I've only played a couple of the Castlevania games. So, and I don't even remember much from them. So, yeah. But I hope we get a lot more cool shit this season, a lot more cool action, a lot more new characters. But I do want to see some great stuff with the returning characters too. Olrox is a really interesting character, so I definitely want to see more with him and how he's gonna like get involved with everything. I obviously want to see as much more Jolta as possible. Like when it was first like made clear that that was the plan, I realized it right as Erzabet was like about to say it, like right before she started saying it. And it's like, if they had kind of surprised us with that instead of setting it up, and like just like suddenly showed like the forge and suddenly she comes out of it, I probably would have squeaked. But having that setup actually helped me control myself. If they had actually surprised us with Jolta's return, I would have lost it. I would have made a very embarrassing noise. So I'm glad that they set it up. I'm glad, but like I got really excited there when I realized, and then like they started talking about it, and then Erzabet made a very scary face that actually like distracted me from it. So there's that as well. Like that was actually very intimidating. Um, yeah, Erzabet can be genuinely intimidating. She has a very different presence than Carmilla did. Like a very different presence. And it's like Carmilla definitely had aura, but Erzabet just Erzabet's something else. Like I will give her that. And maybe it's partially because like she's like what 8 feet tall. It's like she's like Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil Village or some shit. Though I think she was taller than 8 feet. I don't remember exactly how tall she was. They actually did say, like the creators actually did specify her height. But it's like she's super tall and like she has like this imposing energy to her. And I do appreciate that. Cuz Carmilla is like Carmilla had sass and wit and a lot of emotional rage. But she wasn't really scary. She was sexy, she was really interesting, and she had a very commanding presence, but I wouldn't call her scary. But I definitely get that vibe from Erisabeth. And honestly, I don't feel like I got that vibe as much in season one, but I'm definitely getting it already in season two. I like how this episode was also like a mix of like follow up from the end of the first season combined with setup for the future of this season while having some cool moments as well. It wasn't like this big super action heavy stuff, but they did add in some action because it's always cool to see Alucard like fighting and everything. Um, but they made it a lot more about the setup, and I appreciate that. I think that was necessary. But yeah, I really did enjoy this. I think this was a good start to the season. I'm super happy that the waifu is back. Very excited to see more of her. Um, yeah, this is a strong start. Not the strongest start I've seen in a series or a season premiere or whatever, but still a strong start. Tell me in the comments below though what you thought of this first episode of Castlevania Nocturne Season 2. but no spoilers. I believe the entire season is out because Netflix and all. And so a lot of people have probably already seen all of it. Please do not spoil me. I do not want to be spoiled on this. I do really enjoy this series. Um, and one other thing, there's other shows that are kind of in this same wheelhouse coming in the future. Like there's a Devil May Cry show, and I'm wondering if I should check those out as well. I'm wondering if those will kind of be in the same vein as this. I guess pun intended with vampires in vain. um, but yeah, I'm kind of wondering. Um, I guess maybe we'll see. Maybe it's something to check out in the future. Um, Let me know your thoughts on that as well in the comments. And for now, as always, thank you so much once again for tuning in. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.